Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. God bless you all. I want to cover today the recent video David Wood just put out, a discussion between him and Uthman on the Quran, the different readings of the Quran, the variants, and I'm just going to start out right away. We're going to get right into the video, so let's pull it up and let's go.
This is a moron doesn't know what a Qira'at is, right?
Yeah.
Let me explain it.
Are there textual differences?
Let me explain it, bro.
There are textual differences.
Listen.
Textual differences. It's been corrupted.
So you can't listen. This is the problem with him. You can't listen, right? Now, when you look at the Torah, are there different verses? Are there different lines? And I have a whole book on the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Standard Torah and the differences between them. So it is not just that they're different recitations. Now, his father, for example, he recites in Shu'bah and Asim, and somebody else will recite in Hafs and Asim. Those are all in accordance to one Mus'haf, the Uthmani Mus'haf.
All right, so that's the first part. He's going to repeat that again, so I'm going to fast forward there. I think it's around this time. And so his claim is that all of these different readings that they accept are all according to this one Mus'haf, the Uthmani Mus'haf. And we're going to examine that claim, see if that's true, or was he telling a lie? So let's play this part, and then I'm going to pause and show some evidence.
Differences of Qira'at continue on the Mus'haf Uthman. Even today, every Qira'at has, you know the three conditions of a Qira'at?
One second, just let me read this so I can put it down.
Okay, so he's about to now get into the three conditions of what makes a reading an authentic reading. And let's just do some myth busting. So the three conditions that Muslims have on what's an authentic reading. First one, it has to be, like he said, it has to be in the script of the Uthmanic Mus'haf. So the codicy of Uthman, it has to be in that type of let's say font. I'll show you guys an example. So let me just show my other window here. Just bear with me a moment. Okay. All right. So I gave an example. I have an example here on the screen. You guys can see. So actually, matter of fact, let me make my mouse bigger. Let's see if this helps. Okay, let me make the cursor. There we go. So hopefully that's easier to see. All right, so this is what he's talking about. He's saying that, this is one of the rules, one of the criterion for determining if a reading is authentic or not. Okay, he says that it has to match the Uthmanic text. This is in Arabic called the Rasm, and other people call it the consonantal skeleton or skeletal text. Basically what that means is this text right here is unintelligible to someone reading it today because there aren't diacritical marks. There aren't not just diacritical marks, but there aren't even consonantal marks, like points on the letters that differentiate between different letters. Okay, so this is what it looks like, without any dots, without any vowels or anything like that. So one possible way to read this, by the way, this is an example in the Quran. It's in chapter 2, verse 2, and so this is one possible vocalization. So this is the one that we find in the Quran, and this is the reading. That book has no doubt in it. That book has no doubt in it, and you can see how the letters are kind of filled in. So there's a dot above this letter. You have all of these different sort of dots, and like here's the blank. This is like the skeletal, the blank text, and then this is one possible way to read it. This is how it's vocalized in the Quran today. So you can take this text right here. You can take this text and you can vocalize it to make it say that book has no doubt in it. However, you can take this same text in the Uthmanic text, and you can vocalize it another way. That kebab has no oil in it. That kebab has no oil in it. So one, let me zoom out a little bit. Try to get it all in there. Let's see. Okay, so I don't know how I can get the full. It's not really cooperating with me, sorry guys. Okay, all right, I think this might work. So this is the Uthmanic text. Okay, you can vocalize it this way. That book has no doubt in it. That's how the Quran has it today. But you can also vocalize it this way, because look, I'm not adding any letters I'm not adding any extra consonants. All I'm doing is changing where the dots go. So instead of putting 2 dots on top, I put the dot on the bottom. Instead of putting 2 dots on the bottom, 1 dot on the bottom, 2 dots on top. Okay, and so it goes from that book has no doubt in it to that kebab has no oil in it. Okay, so this is a weakness. This is a huge weakness of the Uthmanic text. A huge weakness. And I'm not the only one putting this out. This is also something that early Muslim scholars like Ibn Khaldun, for example, Shadi Nasser quotes him in his book. And I'm just going to read the quote here. So this is Shadi Nasser in his book, The Transmission of the Variant Readings of the Quran. And this is what Ibn Khaldun says. So Ibn Khaldun, for example, condescendingly criticized the traditionalists for their ahistorical views regarding the development of the Arabic script. Okay, so the development of the Arabic script, and he goes on, he stated that the early Arabic script, so the early Arabic script, meaning this one, this is the early script without any dots, this is the early script. The early Arabic script has caused several discrepancies in the Uthmanic copies. Several discrepancies. I'll give you guys just 2 examples of that real quick. So here's, if you go to chapter 2, verse 58, and this one is Hafs, this one is Warsh. And so these are both authentic, accepted readings. So this is a possible discrepancy. So if you put 1 dot on top, it's we forgive. If you put 2 dots on the bottom and take the dot off top, it means he forgives. So we forgive, he forgives. Ibn Khaldun said this is a discrepancy. This is the weakness of this type of script. So in other words, if I just want to make this really clear. So this is the Uthmanic text, and then you vocalize it. So different vocalizations, different readings. Okay? So according to Ibn Khaldun, this is underdeveloped. It's imperfect. Because it causes these discrepancies. What discrepancies? Well, if you put 1 dot on top, it means we forgive. If you put 2 dots on the bottom, it means he forgives. So they do versus you do. This is the weakness that Ibn Khaldun is talking about. Okay? So the imperfections of the early script has caused several discrepancies in the Uthmanic copies. Those who believe that the companions excelled in Arabic orthography. Listen, this is very important. This is Ibn Khaldun. So he says those who believe that the companions excelled in Arabic orthography, so the Arabic script, are, according to Ibn Khaldun, idiots. Whoa, that's a big claim. That's not me saying that. That's Ibn Khaldun, Muslim scholar. So this first criterion that he says, that it has to match the Uthmanic script, this is what he's talking about. It has to fit in that script, this defective script that Ibn Khaldun says, if you think that this is like the par excellence of Arabic, this is like the best of the Arabic language in terms of the script that was used to write the Quran, he says that they're idiots. That's Ibn Khaldun. And if you want the Arabic, Ibn Khaldun, this is in his book. Just going to kind of skim through it. Those of you who know Arabic and you want to pause to read it, you guys are free to do so. I'm not going to take the time to do that because Shadi Nasser already translated it for us here. Okay, so this is the first point, and this is the criterion that they use to determine. It's used to determine whether a reading is authentic or not. So is it true that these are the only types of differences in the different authentic readings? So it's the same skeletal text like this, right? So like I have here, let me just make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see the full thing. Okay, so you have the skeletal text here, no dots at all. If you fill in the dots, you can get that book has no doubt in it, or that kebab has no oil in it. Okay, so it's the same skeletal text, but you add in the dots, the vocalization. So is it true that all of the authentic readings that Muslims accept as authentic, I'm using their terminology, that they accept as authentic, is it true that all of them are just like this? Like you have the Uthmanic Mus'haf, the codice or the Codex of Uthman, And then there are just different ways to vocalize it. So instead of al-kitab, the book, al-kebab. Is that true? Because it can go back. It can go back to this one originally, depending on how you feel in it. Is that true? Well, I'm going to just provide with two simple examples. So here's one. This is in chapter. I should have noted the chapter. In chapter 3, verse 133. Chapter 3, verse 133. Okay, it's right here. Chapter 3, verse 133. We have the Hafs reading. So the most popular reading. You guys see here, this is a letter wow in Arabic. Letter wow. It means and. So this says and then we go down to like qalun, or we can go to warsh. So these would be more used in North Africa. And you see that there's no wow. There's no letter wow. There's no and. Where did it go? Where is this letter? Where is this letter? It's nowhere to be found. But I thought that according to this criterion that Muslims have, that all of these scripts in these different readings can be traced back to the skeletal text. So if we take this one, the skeletal text should have this letter wow. But if we go to this one, we're not gonna, where's the wow? So in other words, they can't be coming from the same skeletal text because they missing letter, missing word. Okay. Here's another example. This is in chapter 57, verse 24. And by the way, you might notice that this one says 24 and this one says 23, because these readings don't consider the in the name of Allah, like the beginning verse. They don't consider that a verse. So, by the way, if you're doing like miracle, like number 19s, like some scholars do, Shabir, it totally messes up your count, because while this is verse 24 in Hafs, it's only verse 23 in Qalun and Warish and etc. So your count is going to be off by one verse. So if you're going to look for patterns of 19, which one do you go by? Anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent. Sorry about that. Okay, so what we're focused on here is this word, huwa. Okay, huwa. This is what we're focused on. Where is it in here in this reading? This is authentic reading, and this is an authentic reading. Where is it? The missing huwa. Where is it? So the claim is that every single reading goes back to the, let's go back to our example here. Every single reading supposed to go back to a skeletal text like this. And the only differences are things like, putting like 2 dots here and 1 dot here. But this like the consonantal skeletal text is all the same. But this is a consonant and this is a consonant. So if we look, where did Hafs get the huwa from? If we go back to that mushaf, let's say it has the huwa. Okay, let's say it has the huwa. Well, where did this one get it from? Oh, sorry, how did this one lose it? So I guess there's 2 different ways of looking at it. You can say that Hafs added on huwa, or you can say Qalun and Warsh deleted it. I mean, I don't know. So either Hafs added it or they deleted it. Okay. So we can see clearly that these cannot go back to the same mushaf. So that's point number 1 I wanted to bring out from this. So let's go back now. Let's go back to remove my screen, and let's go back to the David Wood and Uthman. I like stumble. What do I want? Because I usually call him Sheikh Uthman, but he recently told David he's actually not a sheikh. So I thought he was a sheikh. I didn't know he wasn't. So let's do share and okay, wait. Okay, stop. Sorry guys, I'm just having some technical issues here. Okay, share screen, and we want to go to here and then here. Okay, here we go. So we're going to continue on, and let's continue.
So this is commentary on the verse, Surah 33, verse 6. The Prophet is closer to the believers than their own selves, and his wives are their mothers. He says in spiritual relationships, the Prophet is. Read this so I go.
You know the three conditions of the Qira'at?
Okay, sorry about that, guys. There is one more point that I wanted to make because there are three conditions. I only covered one of them. I'm not going to do extensive time on all three of these conditions, but the second condition is that it has to be grammatically correct. So the first condition is that it needs to match the Uthmanic script. We saw that that's not true, that these authentic, quote unquote, according to the Sunni standards, that these authentic readings cannot go back to that same mushaf. They can't go back to that same one because they have different, some of them have added words or deleted words, depending on your perspective. So the second criterion, as you said, there's three. The second one is it has to be grammatically correct. Now, this one is really a big hoax because all of you who have discussed with Muslims before about Arabic grammar and whether there are grammatical mistakes in the Quran, they're going to tell you that the Quran is the definer of Arabic grammar. Like, this is the standard. The Quran is the standard. So how can you judge the Quran by Arabic grammar if the Quran is where we derive Arabic grammar from? But this is like people, you know, this is like the mainstream view today. However, there are early Muslims who didn't take this perspective and they actually believe that there are grammatical issues. There actually are grammatical issues. So let's go to the famous deleted interview. I don't know if this is smart to switch the windows like this. Hopefully I don't mess things up too badly. So we're at 522. So check this out. Okay, famous deleted interview right here.
Dr. Yasser, he means, I understood that, and the first thing I thought about was mushkil from a grammatical perspective, the ayat. Like some of the mufassirun and some of the nuhat, they used to use that language as problem from a grammatical perspective.
Exactly. So the early commentators of the Quran, the early Muslim scholars, would often point out grammatical issues in the Quran. So remember, he said that the second criterion for authenticating a reading in the Quran is that it has, well, he didn't say this, but this is what he's referring to, that it has to be grammatically correct. And then the third one, and then we're going to get back to the David Wood interaction with him on this, on the back to them. The third one is that it has an authentic chain, which is another hoax because you can have a perfectly authentic chain for something, but the content might be disputed. So a perfect chain, in other words, according to all their Islamic sciences and standards, it's correct, it's sahih, but the content can be disputed and it's gone. So the chain is not really important at all. And we're going to get into that more. We're going to get into this more about the chain because he comments on it again, and then we'll go into greater detail there. So now, let me go back and hopefully mess things up.
The differences of Qira'at continue.
Okay.
On the Mus'haf Uthman. Even today, every Qira'at has, you know the three conditions of the Qira'at?
One second, just let me read this so I can put it down. So this is commentary on the verse, Surah 33, verse 6. The Prophet is closer to the believers than their own selves, and his wives are their mothers. He says in spiritual relationships, the Prophet is entailed to more respect and consideration than blood relations. In some qira'as, like that of Ubay ibn Ka'b, occur also the words, and he is a father of them, which imply his spiritual relationship and connection with the words, and his wives are their mothers. So in his qira'ah,
so he's
his
saying,
qira'ah,
no, wait,
he had extra words.
hold on. Now, this is your ignorance again. Bring me the ayah. David Wood's going to get done another time now.
Yeah, because
you're
Ubay,
ignorant.
because Ubay ibn Ka'b screwed up.
Because you didn't understand the hadith. That's the problem.
Okay. There you go, right there. That's the note. That's the verse.
So the note is
For some strange reason,
7-4.
For some strange reason, Ubay ibn Ka'b had extra words in his.
He did not have extra words. Hold on, I'm showing you.
Notice he's saying that Ubay did not have extra words. He did not have extra words. That's going to be really important because he emphasizes on this over and over again. And this is where the lie really comes out with that statement. But I'm going to continue and we'll see.
وكان الله بما يعملون بصير. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ولي للمؤمنين من أنفسهم وأزواجهم وأمهاتهم. Here, in this recitation of Ubay ibn Ka'b, which again this is one of the shad recitations, meaning this is not established from the mutawatir ahadith, which you don't know anything about, but what can I do?
All right. So when he says this is a shad, this is an irregular reading. It's not the mutawatir. Do I want to go into the mutawatir? Let me see. Do I want to go into mutawatir? Okay, I will. Okay, so here we go. Let's go into mutawatir. Is this an early Muslim standard? Is this an early Muslim criterion? Did early Muslims, judge by whether something was mutawatir, whether something was mass transmitted? Is that actually an early Islamic standard or not? Let me just play something from a sheikh. This guy, his name is Sheikh Akram Nadwi, and let's see what he has to say. So we're going to stop sharing that, and we're going to share screen. Okay, just a second. Let's see what the sheikh has to say about mutawatir. If what Uthman is saying is actually true. Let's see. All right. Full screen. Let's listen to what he says. It's only 3 minutes and 41 seconds. I'm just going to let it play out and then comment on it after.
Mutawatir basically means number of the people who report the hadith. So if they report such a huge number that they cannot lie or they impossible to agree on a mistake, that will be mutawatir. And less than that is called ahad, because generally the one or two people narrate, they call ahad. But this idea of mutawatir and ahad, again actually came into Islam from non-Islamic sources.
I know I said I let it play out, but I had to comment. He just said that this concept of mutawatir and ahad doesn't come from Islam. It comes from non-Islamic sources. Whoa.
People of the hadith, they never divide hadith into mutawatir and ahad. People like Sufyan Thawri or Ibn Uyayna, Imam Shafi'i, Malik, Abu Hanifa, then after that Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Nasai, none of them ever use the word mutawatir. Never. Some of them use the word mashhur, but mashhur has another meaning, dictionary meaning. Does not mean the mashhur that people say. This never had been. The first time when it was made part of the hadith science was done by Khatib al-Baghdadi. Khatib al-Baghdadi died in the 462 or 63. You can see after such a long time.
Okay, he's saying that this concept of mutawatir that Uthman just appealed to, doesn't actually come into Islam until roughly 400 years after the death of Muhammad. Imagine, 400 years after the death of Muhammad. That's when Muslims started to use this way to, test something's reliability on mutawatir. Meaning, is there mass transmission? And this time I mean it. I'll just let it play out. I'll just let him talk.
Before that, nobody includes mutawatir into usul hadith. First, mutawatir was introduced by mutakallimin. Then after that, adopted by fuqaha in usul fiqh for a purpose, because they want to make who's kafir, who's not kafir. So the best is make a measurement. The whole purpose was if somebody denies mutawatir, he's kafir. So in Islam. So this came later on. The knowledge really is a sound knowledge and non-sound knowledge. That's how Muslims have been following. If knowledge is sound, you should follow it. If knowledge is not sound, don't follow it. That's all. It doesn't matter how many people report it. What matters is sound. Make effort to find sound knowledge. Sahih. So that's why Bukhari wrote his book as Sahih. Muslim wrote as Sahih. Sound knowledge is important. Not number. Actually, numbers can be misleading. Sometimes can be a huge number, for things which are lie and false. If you ask Indian people, they are also mutawatir, isnad. Who's going to judge? Who's going to find out? And what can be mutawatir? Just think really, what can be mutawatir? How can you make mutawatir prophethood? Prophethood must be to one person. He's the man who did. And most of the things that prophet did really, not necessarily taught by everybody. The most of the things will be, actually all the good things are ahad. Mutawatir are very few hadiths, even though they are disputed. Actually, there are people who say there is no single mutawatir hadith in the world. To discuss something which actually has no meaning, what purpose? Some people say there's no single mutawatir hadith in the world. To just imagine, if there's no single hadith mutawatir, what purpose to discuss something like that? And when you say mutawatir, you know what happening is, for you it is wahid. You do not know the mutawatir. Suyuti said mutawatir. So your knowledge depends on one person. If he is wrong, you are wrong. Mutawatir means in every generation there is a huge number. For you, then you did not take from huge number. You took from one person. So between you and this mutawatir, the one link, just one link. If he is wrong, you are wrong. So even mutawatir, when people receive it, never mutawatir. So first thing really is that mutawatir never part of Islam anyway. Muslims never had mutawatir. Second thing is even if people include mutawatir, it's not useful because people don't agree if there is something mutawatir. And the third thing is when you follow mutawatir, it is not mutawatir for you. You never got. When you read Quran, you don't take mutawatir. You don't say, oh, I must read Quran with 40 people. Otherwise, it will be one. You learn one teacher. That's all.
Whoa. All right, so that's Sheikh Akram Nadwi, and he's clearly saying that this concept of mutawatir is not original to Islam, and it's not it shouldn't be an acceptable Islamic standard for judging things because it's so late. Now, I'm just going to play one more clip from Shadi Nasser. I read from his book earlier, so let me just play one clip from him. This is about 16 seconds, I think.
So the concept of tawatur, which was early on, was not used. There was no one in the early period said that the Quran was mutawatir. That's the later concept that was applied later on the Quran. Even people like Ibn Mujahid or Tabari, they never used this term to describe the Quran. It was used by the people of usul al-fiqh and theologians because you need the Quran.
All right. So just confirming this point that mutawatir was not used by the early Muslims. So these three criteria that Uthman was talking about, that it has to conform to the skeletal text of the Uthmanic consonants, we've shown that that's not true. There are examples where that's not true. The fact that it has to be grammatically correct in Arabic, that's not true because Muslims like Uthman, they claim that Arabic is based off of the Quran. So you can't say, I'm going to judge this text to see if it's grammatically sound or not, if your whole understanding of Arabic grammar comes from that text. It's unfalsifiable. You can't do that. And then, this authentic chain, mutawatir, we just saw two Muslim scholars saying very clearly that that is not an early Muslim concept. So let's continue. Let's continue on to the video. And this is where it's really going to this is where Uthman is really going to expose himself. So here we go. All right. Okay.
Here, the word is pronounced differently. It's not an additional word, which changes its meaning from their own wives, from their own selves and wives, to rather their own fathers.
Okay, just to be clear here, he's saying that in this passage, chapter 33, verse 6 in the Quran, where it says that the Prophet is closer to believers than themselves, and his wives are their mothers. And he's saying that when Ubay would read, Ubay's reading, which we're going to see it's more than just Ubay, would read, and he is a father to them. So, and Muhammad is a father to them. He's saying that this is not an addition of words. Uthman is stating that that's not an addition of words. I'm going to play a little bit more because he says that a few more times and he tries to give examples. Let's play.
But this is first off, this recitation,
and he is a father to them.
Right. Again, so like here, how he is closer to them. In the recitation, the word changes the meaning of it. Not that there's an additional word, right?
So he's saying that the recitation is what changes the meaning, but it's not a different word. He's actually saying that he is a father to them, and he is a father to them. He's saying that that is not addition of words. This is just a matter of pronunciation. I mean, this guy is such a liar, but let's continue.
Word
said occur also the words.
Let me explain it to you again, and you get it on, and you can read it. But the thing is, you don't really want to learn. the word walid and walida, for example, right? And just to change in recitation changes the meaning. Both of them being correct. Ubay ibn Ka'ab radiallahu anhu, this qira'at is not established mutawatir.
All right. So he gives an example. He says walada, which means to give birth or to father, and walid means a father. He's saying that the only difference is pronunciation. Actually, that's it's true that there's a different pronunciation, but there's also a different spelling. So walid actually has an additional letter. It has an alif in it. So you're actually adding a consonant. So his example doesn't fit what he's trying to say. Let's continue on.
Qira'at has to be mutawatir from the Nabi alayhi salam. But even here, it was not the additional word, but the difference in recitation that gave the depth in meaning. Now,
So it's not an additional word. That's what he's claiming.
these recitations, as Suyuti has mentioned, that are shad. That means that they are not accepted, because even in recitation, we have to make sure they're mutawatir, that they are through numerous authentic chains. Those that are through authentic numerous chains, they do not have additional words, because they all have to go back to one mushaf. Mushaf of Uthman radiallahu anhu. Any recitation that may be attributed to anybody that does not go back to the Mushaf of Uthman is rejected. Sorry, Dave.
So if other
More
if
time.
Muhammad
All right. So we've already refuted that claim. Let me just stop sharing that, and let's share this screen. Okay. So we've already refuted that claim. So now let's go to the readings. Well, this is what David Wood is talking about, by the way. This, and it says Ubay would also read the words, and he is a father of them, in that passage in chapter 33 verse 6. And according to Uthman, this is not an addition of words. It's actually just elongation of like a vowel or something. So it says, so the verse says, Muhammad is closer to the believers than themselves, and his wives are their mothers. And he's saying that apparently if you like elongate a vowel in Arabic, then it's like, and his wives are their mothers. That elongation, like that means he's also a father to them. That's what he's really suggesting that. Like, it's crazy. But let's just go to it. So this is the encyclopedia of the different readings of the Quran. Have the page open here, and we have in the Arabic, it says that in the Mus'haf of Ubay and Ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Abbas, they would all read it as, and they would have these additional words, not just pronunciation, like Uthman said, not just pronunciation, but they would have these additional words, and he is a father to them. So these are additional words, not like Uthman said, it's just a matter of pronunciation. Let me see. I have I tried to bring up an example. So this is the example that he gave. He said like walada, so, and walid. So walada is the verb meaning to give birth, to father, and walid means a father. He's saying that that's the difference. That's the difference. I mean, this guy is such a liar. I think a better example would be walida and walid. So the verb meaning to give birth, and then a son. This is where you have the same consonants. The only difference is vocalization and vowels. Okay, so he said that this is not an addition of words, and we just found out that it is an addition of words. You can see clearly you have, and he is a father to them. These are all words. It's not just a matter of pronunciation. Now, there are a bunch of people who read it like this. I don't want to go through all of them. I think there's about 7 of them in total. There's about 7 people. So Omar, the second caliph, Omar, said he used to say this verse like that. It says he used to read this verse in that way. where, you know, and he is a father to them. So Omar, the second caliph, used to read it like that. Ibn Abbas used to read it like that, which we just said in the which we just saw in the other dictionary. Mujahid used to read it like that. So I mean, there's about 7 of them here. This is a Suyuti. This is a Suyuti, and if you guys want to, let me just scroll through. For those of you guys who know Arabic, you guys want to see this, just pause and read. Okay, so here we have Ibn Kathir. In this discussion that David Wood had with him, he made it clear that he only accepts what Ibn Abbas says if Ibn Kathir narrates it. Well, that's not his only criterion, but he did state very, like, he made this, like, this implicit standard, this implicit criterion, that if Ibn Kathir says something that Ibn Abbas says, then he'll believe it, then he'll take it. So this is Ibn Kathir. This is Ibn Kathir on chapter 33, verse 6. Okay? Chapter 33, verse 6. So, what does Ibn Kathir say? He says that Ubay, by the way, Ubay is not just some random guy. Muhammad said that there's 4 people to learn the Quran from. One of them is Ubay. So he's not just some, like, small guy. This is huge. One of the 4 people you're to learn the Quran from is Ubay. And Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas. According to Ibn Kathir. So Uthman has to accept this now because Ibn Kathir is saying that Ibn Abbas says this. What does Ibn Kathir say about Ubay and about Ibn Abbas? He says that they both used to read the verse and he is a father to them. So we have, I mean, depends how you want to count Arabic words. I mean, because the preposition is attached to the word. So you could say this is 1, this is 2. Didn't highlight. So 1, 2, 3, and then lahum. I mean, you could say that that's 2 words as well. But let's just say that it's 3 words, 4 words, 5 words. Doesn't matter. These are additional words. Uthman is saying that these are not additional words. He says that these are just recitations. It's just elongating vowels, kind of like walada and walid. No, it's not elongating vowels. It's adding words. So Uthman lied to David. He's been lying to him over and over and over again. And that's basically what I wanted to do. I just wanted to document that, show it to you guys. Hopefully that was beneficial. Sorry that wasn't in full screen. I just realized it now. But yeah. So thanks everybody for watching. God bless you all. Hope that you have a great rest of your days, evening, nights, wherever you are in the world. Everybody take care